I'm going to tell you a story. And when I finish telling you this story, you're going to think that it's completely insane that you don't have a job as a software developer already. Now, I know what you're thinking. You arrived at our site hoping to learn how you could become qualified to be a programmer. It's perfectly within the realm of sanity that you aren't a programmer right now because you don't know how to code, right? Well, no, actually, there are thousands and thousands of people with software development jobs that don't know how to write code. Like, at all. But let's come back to that. All I'm asking from you is to give me the benefit of the doubt as I describe to you why it's crazy that the industry isn't employing you already. In case it wasn't readily apparent to you, the world runs on software. Like it really runs on software. So much so that by 2020, there will be 3 internet connected devices per person on the planet. There's software programming in every machine in the world today, from complicated robots on down to toasters. They're putting little chips with little embedded programs in things like clothes now, even. We have computers in our cars, carry them in our pockets, and wear them on our wrists. And with all of these computers, it takes a lot of people to program them. I mean, a lot. And that's a problem because there is way more demand for people to write these programs than there are people to write them. If you hang around in the right places, you'll hear people with ideas for phone apps begging software developers to co found startups with them. You'll see companies that are looking for help building custom line of business systems that just can't find programmers to give them the time of day. You'll hear hiring managers talk about how they can't find programmers on the job market long enough to interview them, so they just leave positions unfilled. There are billions upon billions of lines of code that need writing, and they're just not getting written. In 2010, the world needed way more programmers than it had. By 2015, that gulf had widened, and by 2020, it's projected that worldwide there will be 1 million unfilled programming jobs. Yes, you heard that correctly. By 2020, there will be 1 million positions that 1 million hiring managers want to staff, and they will simply have to throw their hands in the air and give up because they won't be able to find anyone to take their jobs. It's a worsening problem. Every year, the world needs more programmers, and every year, comparably fewer of them graduate from university programs. Even as demand skyrockets, the supply is actually dwindling, which means it's a pretty lucrative time to be a programmer. It also means that there's a lot of opportunity for people to break into the market since, as they say, beggars can't be choosers. And make no mistake, people looking to hire programmers are literally beggars. So what gives? Why don't these desperate managers just hire anyone who can program even a little? I mean, as I mentioned earlier, they're obviously making mistakes and hiring people who can't. So why don't people at the entry level trying to break into the industry have an easy time of it? Well, it's quite simply because the only way that they can do better than hiring random people and leaving it up to fate is to hire someone with previous work experience. The hiring managers are desperate, but their hands are slightly tied. They can't just hire anyone who walks in off the street and pay them to be a programmer, but they also can't afford to be choosy, so that creates a situation where anyone with prior programming experience can find a new job within days, but entry level candidates have some trouble breaking in. It's so pronounced that this is how legions of people who can't program wind up with programming jobs. They get hired by their friend's uncle or something, wash out after a while, and then just get hired at another company because they have that magic year of experience on their resume. They can't program a lick, but there they are in one programming job after another. This is not a joke. At every company with which I have associated, there has been at least one programmer that could not write a basic Hello World application to save his or her life. So, to recap, there are approaching 1 million needed but unfilled software development positions in the world. Some of the ones that are filled by people who cannot program to save their lives. And yet here you are Googling, how can a QA professional become a software developer? With these vast hordes of positions available, doesn't it seem crazy that someone hasn't at least given you a chance to see if you could figure it out as you went? There is a lot of information out there about what you ought to do. Maybe you should get a degree in computer science, invest years and tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Or maybe you should do a hardcore boot camp and invest months and tens of thousands of dollars. But honestly, we don't think you should do either one of those things. Keep in mind that a million software development managers out there are already looking for an excuse, any excuse to hire you as a software developer. You're a pro and you've honed a valuable skill set testing software. You don't need to sink lots and lots of money and lots of time into giving those million hiring managers that excuse. That's overkill. Instead, you should leverage the skills you already have to position yourself to get hired. And to do this, you don't need to build some abstract, generalized set of skills and hope that someone notices. You need to take action, specific, tangible, measurable action. In this course, you're going to use a series of specific tactics with a very narrow, very action-oriented focus, getting your first job as a software developer. You're not going to study algorithm theory or read gigantic books about Java, C#, and Python. You're not going to spend hours and hours on nights and weekends trying to figure out the latest new web framework. You will learn and apply tangible, valuable development skills on the clock as part of your QA job. With a laser focus on the right technical and non-technical skills, you will become a developer. And you won't just be a developer, you'll be a well-qualified developer. As I said before, there are thousands and thousands of developers that have no idea what they're doing. We will help you get a job and be ready to hit the ground running when you do. Before we tell you what the outcomes are that will lead to you getting a job, and we are going to tell you without asking you to buy the course, before we tell you what those outcomes are, we think it's important to talk about what you're going to need. So what do you need to bring to the table? First of all, you need to be prepared to look at the world a little bit differently. Specifically, you need to be able to look at the world the way that software developers look at the world, at least the good ones. Your career so far has actually prepared you well for this. We software developers have a dirty little secret. At the heart of things, all we're really doing is automating mundane manual tasks. Forget about all of the code retreats and the sexy phone apps and rock stars and ninjas and whatever other terms you might hear flying around. That's really all noise. At the end of the day, software development is often as simple as seeing that someone, somewhere, is keying in all the days of the week at the top of a spreadsheet over and over again, and writing a little macro to do that automatically, thus saving that poor soul a bit of time. A programmer who is doing well at her job is thus looking for opportunities to automate, looking for situations where people, herself included, are bogged down in brainless minutia. Your experience in and around the world of software development helps you with this because you've no doubt seen situations both where developers rise to the occasion and where they fall short due to lack of time, interest, or both. No doubt you're painfully aware of any number of things that could be but aren't automated. It might be something as simple as having to type login credentials into the application that you're testing over and over and over again. Copy, paste, click, type, click, scroll, click. Being a programmer is nothing more than simply being the person who looks at that situation and decides to do something about it. You don't need a degree, you don't need a title, and you don't need 5 years of experience, and you don't need a book about Java. All you need is the understanding that there has to be a better way and the drive, patience, and persistence to figure something out. Really, that's all you need. We'll help you get the rest. It's going to take practice, effort, time, and some patience, but you'll get there as long as you have the mentality of not settling for obtuse manual solutions to problems, as long as you're willing to work smarter instead of harder. Before we move on, there is one more thing that you need, and it's going to sound weird. You need to start a company and, as the founder, confer upon yourself the title of software developer. There is nothing that stacks the deck more in your favor for landing a software development job than experience as a software developer. So, toward the end of this course, when you're interviewing for jobs, you're going to be glad that you did this now and got software developer on your resume. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. That sounds like cheating, and it doesn't sound like something I really need to do now anyway. I'll address the latter point first and ask you if you're aware of something called compound interest. If you're not, compound interest is the idea that economists cite when they tell you to start saving for retirement as early in your career as possible. They'll explain that it's far more important when you start saving than how much when it comes to retirement. Getting in early is a lot more valuable than making a big show of it later. If you get a software developer position on your resume now, it's going to be orders of magnitude more valuable to you in 6 months or a year when you're looking for jobs than the same position will be if you put it on there the week before you start pumping resumes out to prospective employers. So go and do it now. It'll cost you only a filing fee in your state, and having a business entity has all sorts of other benefits anyway. We'll obviously walk you through this in detail in the QA to Dev course, but even if you don't sign up with us, you should go out and do this today. Seriously. And the reason I say this is that it also addresses the first objection you may have had, the idea that this is cheating. I can see where you might feel this way at first blush, but ask yourself this. Is starting a company and hiring yourself somehow more dishonest than taking an interview somewhere that a friend of yours works, or than a guy who you know got the job because his uncle worked there? In the corporate world, these types of practices are euphemistically referred to as networking, and they are commonplace. People with whom you are competing seize every advantage available to them, and so you're going to need to learn to do the same. Besides, by the time you finish with the course, you will know how to program, and you will have been a programmer for your own company doing work on your own. When you're applying for jobs, the title and role will be accurate. So don't look at it as something that you can't justify, but rather as a job that you're taking here today and are brand new to. We're going to help you with your training, and you will be up to speed with your new title before you know it. One of the main reasons that we're discussing this strategy in the promo material for the course is to give you an example of the kind of bold, outcome-focused guidance that we're going to offer you as you look to make your entry into the software development world. If you choose to join us on this journey, you're going to be doing unconventional but effective things, and you're going to be doing the kinds of things that you just won't hear or read about in other career-focused courses and books. We aren't long-tenured so-called hiring authorities that have worked in the corporate world and played by its rules for 40 years. We're both IT management consultants, opportunistic software developers, and entrepreneurs that have figured out how to get ahead a lot faster than most people in the industry. So if you're up for automating things that are time-consuming and boring, and if you're up for fast-tracking your own path to the career that you want, we invite you to listen to the outline of this course, including the specific interim things you will achieve on your way to your first paid software development job. All right, let's talk about what you'll actually accomplish in this course. And when I say accomplish, I earnestly mean it because the whole idea here is to get stuff done. Learning and absorbing information is absolutely critical to your efforts and to your subsequent career. But what makes this particular course unique is the emphasis on actual outcomes. If you achieve these outcomes, we will guarantee that you'll get hired as a programmer. Simple as that. It may not always be easy, but it's very straightforward. So what are they? Well, let's take a look. Do you remember how we said that automating mundane stuff is the essence of a software developer's life? Well, the ideal place to start is by automating the mundane stuff that you do. By the end of this first module, you'll have automated 50% of your job. Not only will this give you valuable practice doing what software developers get paid to do, but it's also going to free up a whole lot of your own time that you can spend getting better at programming while getting paid at your job. Everything about your job that you automate gives you more practice and frees up more valuable time. And you can spend that time working on Module 2. In Module 2, you'll take your automation further. In fact, you'll polish it to the point where automation now is your job. Sure, you'll have the same title you've had all along, but you will now be known as the go-to person for automation among your peers. Your boss will start reserving your time for automation activity and hand off manual work to other people. And what's more, people around you will depend on you to automate new things and to maintain the things that you've automated up to this point. It may not sound glamorous, but it is at this point that you are now a programmer in all but job title. From here, it becomes a matter of proving to the world what you can do. So in Module 3, we will build on the fact that you're now essentially doing programming work. The key here is that no one yet really thinks of you as a programmer, so you need to change that. By the end of this module, you will have built a useful piece of software that is on public display for the world to see. So far, you've automated repetitive tasks for people, which reduces the bottom line of your company's expenses. Now you're going to show that you can add to the top line by building a useful piece of software. With that in place, Module 4 is going to focus on how to start attracting notice in the market for software developers. You have the automation experience as well as product building experience, so now you just need to leverage it to make yourself attractive to people that have software development jobs available. Obviously, this might be another company, but it might just be a software development manager within your own company. By the end of Module 4, you will have secured an interview for a software development position. And in Module 5, we'll take you through the things that you need to do as part of a programming job search, helping you build programming interview skills and line yourself up for success once you accept a position. Interviewing for programming positions is not like interviewing for other positions, but don't worry, you will be ready. At the end of Module 5, you will have an actual paid software development position. My partner Greg and I are a pair of software developers that have an awful lot of experience getting hired as software developers, hiring people as software developers, consulting with organizations, and mentoring software developers. We have seen this industry from just about every possible angle, so we know what it takes for people to work their way in and to get hired. Greg actually followed a career path where he maintained full-time employment while working his way into a programming role, as you will do. He has literally done what we're helping you do. And while I never made that career transition myself, having a couple of computer science degrees, I have watched others do it and hired people that did it as well. So we both know quite well what success looks like for you and how you can get there, and we'd very much like to help you get there. Here's a confession, though. We're both hackers and problem solvers, and neither one of us is some kind of slick marketer. You'd probably have laughed if you'd seen us struggling with Google AdWords and trying to figure out how to advertise to you. We're primarily interested in helping people. I mention this because of the price point of this course. You might be wondering if it's worth the money, and that's fair. There are, after all, cheap and free guides to job seeking and the like in the form of books and blog posts, etc. What we recommend is that you spend as little money as possible in order to get as much value as possible. If you can find a book for $40 or even a series of blog posts for free that land you a programming job, then you should absolutely do that. But if you can't find those things, or if you've tried them and not had any luck, then you should give this a try. Certainly, and by the same logic, you should give this a try before you sign up for some kind of $10,000 boot camp or enroll in a trade school degree or something. Formal education like that is going to cost you tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars and take months or years of not working, and that just isn't necessary to get your foot in the door and get a legitimate and lucrative programming job. If you sign up with us and work your way through the course, you will get a programming job. It's just that simple. Sign up today and complete each milestone we've covered here in succession, and we guarantee that you will get the job that you want. We're confident enough that if it doesn't work for you for some reason, not only will we give you your money back, but we will actually personally help you find a job through our industry contacts. Sign up today and get started. You will get hired as a programmer. It's not a question of if, but when.